Travis Richard had mentioned this in the chat. So Wagner Jr. Basically in talks with WWE. According to Chris Featherstone from Sportskeeda, WWE is talking with the former GHC heavyweight champion about making the jump. There is no confirmation yet on how far those talks have progressed, but fans have already started connecting the dots. His social media activity has been getting attention. Speculation that WWE could very well be his next move. He did obviously announce that he is now a free agent. He just finished up with Pro Wrestling Noah. He held the world champion, the heavyweight championship for 90 days. He held the tag team championship twice. He was national champion for like 300 and something days. This is something that's being talked about. Billy, I don't know how familiar you are with him.
I'm not too familiar, so I have seen a lot of these reports though.
So for you, because I'll have my own opinion on this. Yeah, that's probably going to be different because I am a little bit more familiarized. But when you hear of these reports and see of these reports, how do you react? What do you think? What's like your perspective on that?
Number one, good. I mean, WWE, anytime they can, because my guess is, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Ango, he would probably go to NXT. Is that correct?
That's what I would like to see.
Okay, then yes. If we're going to base it under that circumstance and that he goes to NXT, it would strictly be just to help that division and what is going on down there. And I think you add excitement too, because I think we can all agree. I watched a couple of his highlights. I seen it on YouTube. It's kind of exciting to watch. Not gonna lie. So I think overall you get like this, just a new face, number one, and then you're also bringing in a very exciting style of wrestling into NXT. So, I mean, overall, I'd love to see it, and I think it would help that division in NXT.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be very, very honest. Like, I think he's extremely talented. You know, I look at NXT, and I see there is an issue in NXT with their main event scene. And what I really, really want from WWE NXT is to improve that division. And I want it to get to the point where people could kind of come in and like immediately make a change to it, right?
Yes, and make that big jump.
WWE has to, at some point, invest in that main event scene. They have to. Part of that is letting people come in with what makes them so good to begin with. So for him, I mean, he's got a great packaging. He's got like, bro, there's this picture. I'm going to see if I can find it really quick from Pro Wrestling Noah entrance. Okay. And like he had like let me see if I can find it. Pro Wrestling Noah. Oh, yes. Bro.
Let me see.
I'm about to throw this on the stream right now.
Bet.
So I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but I just threw it on the screen.
Oh, there it is. Yep.
And I see this image and like, just right, like WWE knows how to present people. WWE knows how to do things. Don't change that.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Like let people come in. Let people come in. Let them do their thing. Let them get to the point where, like, you know, you present them as a big deal. Do that in NXT. Do that in NXT. You need some big, heavy hitters. You need some big guys to come in and like, become a heavy hitter for your brand, to become the top guy in your brand. WWE signing him, they don't need him on the main roster yet. And I'm not saying he's going to go to WWE and immediately be met with success, but you need to make some changes to NXT. I want to see international talent come to NXT. I would actually, you know, we saw this with Julia and Stephanie Vicker.
Yep.
I want to see more international talent come into NXT being presented as a big deal, so that way they could eventually transition to the main roster as a bigger deal. The NXT brand, you're going to have your NIL talent, you're going to have your WWE ID talent, but what about your global recruiting skills? You know,
and trying to do that.
And there's a plethora of guys in Japan, in Mexico, and in the UK who are not signed at all. And I'm just sitting here wondering, like, who's going to sign them? And I don't want to get too far off track. I think Wagner Jr. coming to WWE, the rumors are there. It sounds like it's going to happen. There's a lot of opportunity for him to happen. But like, look at Michael Oku from Rev Pro Wrestling. Like, he works AEW's pre-show at Wembley, and then Tony Khan doesn't sign him. And I'm just like, you just presented this guy and he's not signed anywhere, and you presented him and made him look so cool and good, and he's there, and
now he's nothing.
So if I'm WWE and I'm looking at NXT and I'm like, damn, we're struggling with this main event scene for the men. Yeah. I start hitting those international markets.
Yeah, go and get them.
I don't know, man. They gotta do something. They gotta do something to change it up. And listen, Chris Featherstone, he's been knocking it out of the park with these reports. Obviously, there's a lot of talk and a lot of rumors of what could potentially happen and what can't happen. But look at Penta just coming into WWE.
For sure.
Look at Penta, and they bring him in and they present him well, and people really love him. And it's, I don't know, like I can't stress this enough. I think WWE, they need to become a little bit more aggressive with their international talent approach. You got to change the narrative that talent that come internationally aren't going to be booked like shit. They're not going to be put in some shitty gimmick. They're going to be taken seriously. So it starts with Penta. We'll see the follow-up with Penta on Raw tonight. But like, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, bro, like there's so many free agents that could be brought in, and you have a certain need. I need WWE to change their approach to that. I do. I need them to. I know immediately everybody says, oh, WWE going after Josh Alexander, Joe Hendry, Jordan Grace. That's cool. But those are people that, like, in America, people already know. When you bring an international talent in and you give them everything, the packaging and the presentation and the cool music, and you do that for them, that's when it becomes, hey, WWE made this person, right?
Right.
And I think WWE needs to do that. And starting people off in NXT is not a bad thing. NXT is doing very, very well. They're selling tickets. Their ratings are great. This is a company that's figuring it out. So I do want NXT to take that approach. If they bring in Wagner Jr., amazing. If they don't bring him in, that's completely fine. But just understand that you have a problem. You can fix it. And there's a lot of people that Tony Khan isn't signing.
And just kind of leaving out.
But it makes you wonder, why hasn't he signed with AEW?
Well, I think we talked about that in today's stream a little bit, Ango.
You think the culture and all that stuff is turning people away?
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. We'd be naive to sit here and say that it's not.
Yeah, but you don't even see reports of Tony Khan even trying to make these offers.
That's also true. But I think when you look at, like, I don't know. I mean, I can only say if I put myself in somebody's shoes. I can't say for sure. But I can be honest and say if I were sitting, and I were watching somebody like Ricky Starks not get the things that they so rightfully deserve, and as humans, we know they deserve, I would to sit here. Oh, excuse me, I cut out. I would have to sit here and say, like, yeah, that would probably rub me the wrong way a little bit because I don't know. I've watched numerous things on Ricky Starks. I've followed him, me personally, for a long time. Again, this is all just me personally. I followed him for a very long time. Like, I don't know. I'd feel I'd feel rubbed the wrong way, I guess, would be the way that I'd take that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely think it has something to do with your backstage culture and people looking at some of the reports that are coming out and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's crazy, man. My bold prediction is that WWE is going to have some very shocking signings this year. Whether or not they can afford to keep everybody there, and not like from a money perspective, but from a TV time perspective, I think WWE will definitely just go after certain talent just to keep them away from AEW. I think I do predict that AEW will lose some very key talent to WWE. And I think once that happens, we'll see a complete shift that really becomes detrimental to AEW's growth. But yeah,
sure.
I mean, WWE going after the international market, where I feel like that's what makes AEW, because they've brought in so many international talent and they've done a good job with them. And then you start to realize WWE has a problem they can fix. And like, I want to see it happen. I want to see WWE improve in that area. This would be one of the ways to improve.
For sure.
With that being said, though, we're going to get to our next super chat.